Good morning and welcome to the channel. So I absolutely love ZZRs, there's no getting away from that. I've done a video previously on my ZZR600. Now long before I dreamed of doing YouTube content and YouTube channels, I set about restoring my first ZZR. And I fell in love with it as soon as I saw it. Now unfortunately this particular bike was in a bit of a bad way when I got it. It had been left uncovered in a garden for around about, I think about 4 years or something like that, and very, very slowly I went through the whole bike and restored it. It took me about 2 years to get it to as you see now. Unfortunately I wasn't really able to document any of that, which was a real shame, but now I'm in a position to start documenting a ZZR revival, and I couldn't be happier that I've been in a position to get another one. Now this particular bike is not an 1100, it is a cheeky little 600. Give me just a moment to get the cover off. So we've got a cheeky little ZZR600. Now there are some differences, notably the size. So the ZZR1100 is significantly, I wouldn't say significantly bigger, but it certainly is bigger. Height wise they're about the same. My wife actually turned to me and she said, "God, that looks a lot smaller." So on paper, ZZR weighs in at around about 228. So the ZZR1100 on paper weighs out at about 228 kilograms dry, whereas the little 600 weighs in at about 198. So you've got about 30 kilos difference, so it's significantly lighter actually. Top speed of the ZZR11 is about 100 and give or take 176 mile an hour as opposed to 153. The brake horsepower of the 1100 is a mind-blowing 147 as opposed to a seemingly modest 98. However, the differences. So this particular bike here will redline or start to rev out at around about 11,000 RPM, with this little fella you're knocking on the door of sort of 1400. So it's much higher revving, and some would say that gives it a good little bit of charm. So 0 to 60 times, I know people want to hear about that. So the 0 to 60 on the ZZR11 is probably looking at around about sort of give or take 3 seconds, or maybe just slightly shy of that. And you're knocking on the door of about 4 seconds for the 600. So we'll take a moment to have a little look around it. Now we are low mileage, which is good. So we've only got 25,000 miles on it. And initially what attracted me to it, bear in mind it's a 32-year-old bike, is actually the all-round condition of it. It certainly isn't worn out by the looks of it. Now there is going to be a fair amount that needs to be done. All the plastics, fortunately, are in really good condition, so I'm very happy with that. The tank is absolutely pristine inside. It's almost like new. Now we have a few heavy scratches that we've got to deal with on the tank, but nothing here particularly worries me. Mechanically, it's a runner, so it does run. It doesn't idle. It idles, but it won't run off full choke. So as soon as you kill the choke, then she's pretty much dead. It won't rev out either, so that is going to mean carbs are going to need to be sorted. Now in this video today I'm going to do a compression check on the bike to see exactly what sort of figures we're reaching, and then we're going to get the carbs off, and we're going to start doing a bit of a strip down on the bike as well, because I do really want to take my time on this bike, because I think it's going to come out actually really, really beautifully once it's all done. Wheels look to be powder coated in black, which is really, really nice. I'm not entirely sure whether that's an original feature or whether it's something that was done later. In any case, the job is really nice and it looks really, really good. Forks all seem to be in good order with no signs of any heavy pitting or anything like that I can see, so that's, you know, quite good to see. All the plastics are in good order except for just here on the nose cone. Unfortunately, it has taken a little bit of damage. That is going to take a little bit to sort out. Now, my hope is that I can get everything deconstructed here, reposition this piece back in so it sits flush, and then do like a plastic weld on the inside to make good. So that's something I actually quite enjoy doing. Tyre wise, well, we're going to have to replace them, there's no doubt. Forks, as I say, appear to be in good order. I think they could just do with a repaint. I have got an almost fully new refreshed set of calipers that I've actually got spare from when I was doing the ZZR, and I can put straight on this bike, so that's going to be good. Otherwise, completely go through the whole bike, clean it all up and make it as good as I can possibly make it, because I really do want this particular bike to really be a showpiece and just look lovely. It's low mileage, the engine sounds sweet, so I think what we'll do now is we'll start tearing into it a little bit and see what we find. So I think we'll make a start by just removing what I can, sort of big wise. So the seat's going to come off. Everything's loosely fitted at the moment, because when I picked the bike up it was kind of disassembled, so seat itself's not in too bad condition, and hopefully that will clean up quite nicely. I may look to get a kind of replacement seat. Also, that's nice, isn't it? It's sort of daily checks under the seat. I'm wondering if there's I don't think there'll be a toolkit in there, but there might be something. Definitely worth investigating that. But very nice. Tank itself was just loosely placed. Now there's nothing to do inside the tank. It's absolutely pristine, so it really is quite remarkable. In fact, I'll almost don't believe it myself when I look inside here. So just hope that comes out in the camera, but it's absolutely pristine. There's not a mark in it. And looking down at the sender unit for the fuel tank, for the fuel gauge, that's pristine as well, like new. So there really is very little to do with the tank. However, it will all be checked through, and there's probably some plumbing underneath that will be needed to be looked at. But all in all, that's impressive, to be fair. So I'll put this to one side for safekeeping. So, like I said earlier, airbox is just loosely here, and that's once again going to all be checked inside and looked at. Might even get a K&N air filter for these, because they're quite nice. Cool, put that to one side too. Now there's a point where it's really recommended to take pictures just to remember exactly where everything goes. Now I fortunately know this bike quite well. Well, I certainly know the bigger version of it, so it's not exactly unfamiliar. But I will just take a moment just to study and snap a couple of shots. Now I can already tell I'm going to have to replace one of the throttle cables, because it's supposed to be a twin setup, and this is actually only got the one. So at the moment it's pulling, but the return cable is not present, so that I'll need to order. Choke itself, no problems with that whatsoever, so that's all in good order. So the first job right now is I want to get the carburetors off the bike and away, and then I want to take the coils off, label them up. In fact, I think they already are labelled, numbered. That's great, that makes things a lot easier. And then we'll do a compression test and see exactly if any of the horses have likely left the stable. But hopefully, being as it's a relatively low on mileage, that this will bode well, and it will give us a nice strong compression. It certainly runs well enough to suggest that compression is good. So there's four main things an engine needs, essentially. So it needs air, it needs fuel, it needs compression, and it needs a spark, so ignition. So if you've got all those four, then you've got a running engine. Any one of those drops out, then clearly your engine is going to stop. Compression can go low, which will cause kind of idle problems and general running problems, and just the bike not performing right, or car, or any engine for that matter. But you can still run with low compression, but with zero compression then you've not got any opportunity to actually ignite fuel well. So that's the aim of today really. It's just to take the carbs off, do the compression check and strip off as much other stuff as I can. So give me just a moment to take the carbs off. It's easily done. There's 4 retaining clamps that go onto the inlet boots, and you basically undo those, remove vac lines, remove the throttle cable, which I think is going to be quite easy to do, only being 1, and remove any of these other lines. Now this particular carb set is water cooled, so there will also be a water element to be taken off, which I'll show you, or try and show you a little later. So I'm just going to get busy now, get that taken away, and be back in just a moment. So another top tip, which I think is quite useful, just when you take something off, try and keep the original bolts where they need to go. Just makes life so much easier. Plus you know it's original then. Too often you see on bikes or any kind of work that someone else has done in the past is different bolts or incorrect bolts or wrong bolts or whatever they had to hand at the time used, purely because the originals have been lost. So now the carbs have been essentially removed, and I do hope this is coming across. You can now see there's a water pipe here and a water pipe here that needs to be disconnected. Now on my ZZR, because we live in, or my 1100, because we live in a relatively stable climate where it's not too hot, not too cold, I've actually bypassed that on mine. I could reintroduce it, I have got all the parts to do it, but I've just literally joined both ends and I've bypassed it, and I've had no carbing issues. But yeah, worth noting. It's amazing, you sort of see things when you're looking at things, and you see that that's not been connected up, that's not been connected up. We've got Jubilee clips loose all over the place here. The chap I bought it from hadn't really had it done an awful lot to it, to be fair, so this is all prior to that owner. So yeah, every time you just see things that aren't quite right. I'm going to go through all the wiring on this bike as well when I get it all stripped out. I will take the whole loom out and check and continuity check every single plug, every single wire, because there are certainly around the headstock there's an area there where there is it can be prone to breaking, so it's worth checking everything out. And just things like this where you've got sort of and just things like this where you've got loose insulation, just doesn't look very good. So that will all be sorted out and made looking good. So I'll get these carbs completely away, and then we'll be in a good spot. There we go, one set of carburetors. So I'm not going to look at these just yet. I'm going to pop those away in my workshop. Just attempting to do now is clear away as much as I can from the top of the engine. I'm sort of sitting on the fence at the moment whether I'm going to take this engine out of this bike or whether it's all good enough that I can just leave it in situ, because to be fair, condition wise it's not too bad. The top rocker cover is a little dirty and could do with a good clean, but if I can clean the engine out, or clean the engine to where I'm happy without having to remove it, then actually all the better. Purely because I've had history with trying to get these engines out, well certainly on the 1100, and all of the bolts for the engine is actually seized in, and it was an absolute mission. And it's a kind of a case of, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'll just spend a couple of minutes having a quick clean up, and I'll be back in just a moment. I have managed to clean up as much as I can of the this area for now. It's only a very loose clean, just to make working on it just that little bit easier. So what I'm going to do now is just whip the spark plugs out. They're all going to be tested and checked anyway. Now you can tell an awful lot about an engine by how the spark plug looks as well. I mean, I'm not particularly clever at reading engines. So the plug removed, you can see it's very rich, and I'm not surprised. The engine is running on choke at the moment only, and it's the only way we're able to get the bike to run. These will all get cleaned up or replaced with new, and then when it all goes back in and the carbs are back on and balanced and sorted, after a little while we'll be able to pull the plugs again and just have a little look and read the engine, just to see if we've got that balance of mixtures correct and things like that. But yeah, plug came out nice and easy, that's good. Got to remove a little plate here to be able to get the spark plug spanner even into this gap. So we'll just quickly do that now and get all the rest of the plugs out, and then we'll be able to do compression tests on the engine. So pretty standard compression tester that I've got. Nothing too special about it. So how this works is you're going to replace the spark plug with this little adapter here, which screws into the this flexible pipe. So make sure it's reasonably tight on there, okay? And then all you're going to then do, pop it into your hole and screw that in until you get resistance. That's all you're looking to do. Then make sure that's clear. Plug in this, and what you're looking to achieve is a reading. Now on this particular bike we're looking at 150 is really where we want to be for each cylinder. So I'm going to do the first one now, and we'll see what we get. Now also worth noting that if you had the carburetors on, you would want your throttle to be wide open, because you want as much air to be drawn into the cylinder as possible. Okay, so because I haven't got the carbs on, that's fine, because essentially they're as open as they could possibly be. So ignition on, and we get a reading. And that's amazing, 175. So we are well and truly good on compression on that cylinder. So I'm just going to do the others, and I'll report back in just a moment. 1, 2, 3 and 4, essentially I'm getting 175 psi across all of them. Now when I first plugged in number 2, the battery was getting weak, turning over slowly, it wasn't building up the pressure. With my jump pack now connected and on, as you can see, number 2, no problem whatsoever, straight up to 175. So I am more than happy with that. So all 4 cylinders are showing a really healthy compression. So pretty confident that once we've got fuel and we know we've got spark, we get the carburation right on the bike with the carbs being sorted, we've got compression, we're going to have a really healthy running bike. So that is really good news. Could not be happier with that. That's perfect. So I think what we'll do now is I'm going to just clean up these spark plugs, and then I'm going to reinstall them, because to be honest I don't think there's any issue. So I will do a test on the spark plugs, because I've got a spark plug tester which will enable me to check the plugs to make sure that they're actually sparking and doing what they should be doing, and they're not arcing out across the diode. So what can happen sometimes is that it all breaks down and you get a spark in the wrong place, which tends to make the spark jump, is what I believe happens. So you get a badly performing spark plug. So I'll clean them up, put them on my test machine just to make sure that they actually all check out okay, and then I'll be happy to reinstall them into the bike. So I'll just quickly go and do that now. All the spark plugs now have been completely cleaned, and I have tested them on my spark plug tester, and they're all firing perfectly. A nice healthy blue spark. My tester I've actually got is quite cool because it can actually simulate 9,000 RPM, and you can really see these things come alive, which is nice to see. And it's nice to see that they're all good. And I've just had a quick check and made sure that the gaps are all correct as well. That's quite important. So I'll just reinstall these now, so that that prevents any risk of any sort of detritus or debris or anything getting into the chamber. So essentially sealing it off. So oh yeah, happy with that. So I'll put those back in. Perfect. That's a good result. So I am really happy with that. So now what I can do is turn my attention to those carburetors, get them all fully stripped, and get them ready to go back on. I'm not going to, however, put them straight back on, because what I really want to do now is start stripping more off this bike. So the nose cone itself has got to come off, which, if it's anything like the big brother, it's the 1100, it's not too bad. It's just a simple matter of undoing a couple of screws or bolts within the fairing itself, take off the mirrors, and the whole thing just drops away and comes forward and out. That will give me good access then to then fully inspect the headstock, because I want to check that there's no issues there. I might or may well see if my adapter kit for my ABBA Skylift will allow me to get the bike up in the air as well, because then I can really check everything out. What I want to do is, before I strip things, is just check how it sits right now. And if the bike, you know, everything's good, then I know what to order and what not to order. So that is the plan. Then once I've got the front end stripped, I can obviously then do a proper inspection of the forks, make sure they're okay. Probably respray the front legs, because I want them just to look a little bit nicer, and then go about cleaning up everything else. Now that's essentially the roadmap for this bike, is to get everything checked, sorted, cleaned, and looking as nice as possible, so that when it does go back on the road, then it's a real good example. So that's not a bad first day's work for the ZZR, and I've really enjoyed what I've seen so far, and I can't wait to carry on with this bike. I could not be happier to be working on another ZZR. I absolutely love Kawasaki and I love these bikes, so I am proper infused. I'm really happy. So yeah, you might want to consider subscribing if you want to see more of this particular series. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and I can't wait to see you all in the next video.